everybody, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Emily, and I am currently on a journey to be my happiest self, I guess, is kind of where. So today I wanted to do something a little bit different. As you can probably tell by the title, I was diagnosed with an eating disorder at 16. I've had like disordered thoughts from probably third-ish grade. So my plan here is to just kind of share a little bit of my backstory and kind of my mental process through everything. When I was going through recovery, I watched a lot of these videos just to kind of get some inspiration, because I never thought that I would be someone that would be even remotely recovered from my eating disorder. It was just not, I didn't think that was an option for me. So I'm going to give a trigger warning. I'm not going to talk about weights. I'm not going to talk about anything like that, but definitely behaviors and things like that. So just be mindful. So my first memory of being self-conscious of my body is I was 8. I would be playing pretend or something and be like, oh, pretend I'm skinny. 'Cause that was when I really started gaining weight, was around 3rd grade or age 8. So that sucks. I was already conscious that my body was different from everybody else's. I was conscious that my body was not normal. It's, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, I had those body image issues as early as 8 years old in 3rd grade. And that's, like I said, around the time I started gaining weight. And kind of skipping forward, because I don't want to say nothing exciting, but nothing relevant, I guess, to this issue happened until around middle school. I learned what calories were, and I vividly remember being on the bus, and one of my friends was going on a cruise, and she was like, oh, all you have to do is just only eat this amount, and if you go over that, you just work out to burn whatever you ate that you didn't want to, the calories and everything. And I was like, that's insane. That's amazing. Because I was very self-conscious of myself. I was squeezing into pants that were too small and then hiding my pretty obvious muffin top with sweatshirts just to make my thighs look smaller. It was bad at that point. And then, so I learned about calories and diets. I don't remember if I actually did any. I know that I thought about them a lot in elementary school, but I don't remember actually doing anything about it. So then I got, when I was 15, just a whole mess of health issues started. So I had really bad chronic sinus infections, and I had a really bad fatigue. So we ended up having me do sinus surgery, which I honestly will probably never do again. It was horrific. I hated it. And then my energy levels still didn't improve. So I got tested for anemia, and I was severely anemic. So we were working on getting that sorted out, and then I started having a ton of stomach problems. I would eat very, very little and be full for a really long time. And it ended up, I was diagnosed with delayed gastric emptying. And so around that point, I just thought it would be interesting to document how many calories I was eating. And I was maybe 16 at this point, 15 or 16. And then it became a game to see how little I could eat. And so not healthy. And so then my doctor had me do a procedure where I had to get tested for the delayed gastric emptying. In 2 hours, my stomach didn't empty at all, which is not normal. I think it's supposed to empty almost completely in 2 hours. I could be wrong. It's been about 10 years, but it was very abnormal, not good. So we did the procedure. It was, I think, called a balloon endoscopy. I could be wrong, but pretty much they just take a balloon and they go in your stomach and they open up the emptying. They open up the little entrance to your intestines from your stomach. Yeah, once that got fixed, I was still eating the same amount of food when my digestion was fixed, and my GI doctor caught on that you should be eating more now. And he was honestly the best doctor I think I've ever had. He was amazing, and I was really sad when I aged out of his care, but because it was pediatrics at that point. So he caught on and I started seeing a nutritionist, I think just every time I had an appointment with him, because he was out of town about 45-ish minutes away from me. So I think I only saw her when I saw him. But my behaviors were done at that point. Like, it was, the disorder had begun, and a nutritionist wasn't going to help me. Like, it just wasn't. And so I started slowly like lowering my calorie limit, going into the social media disorder scene. If you don't know about any of that, I'm not going to go into it because it is a terrifying place to be, and I don't recommend it. So I dabbled, not even dabbled, I was fully immersed in that, and it was just, the disorder was getting worse, I was getting worse, more neurotic, more anxious, more depressed, all of that kind of stuff. So my mom finally was like, okay, you're going to treatment. I found a place. We're going to go do your intake and see what they say. And I was like, great. So we went, and they wanted me to do PHP, which is partial hospitalization. It's 7 hours a day, 5 days a week. And I was like, nope. So we did the intensive outpatient, which is 3 hours a day. I want to say 3 days a week. And so we did that with school. I was 17 when I was going to that. And so I started in intensive outpatient. They ended up being like, this is not enough for you. You need to be in partial hospitalization. So I did that. And then I made the choice at some point to step down, back down to intensive and back down to IOP, and eventually to step out of the program far before I was ready. I pretty much knew what to say and knew how to act in order for them to think that I was better. I'm sure they knew I was lying. Like, you don't recover very quickly from that kind of stuff. I mean, I have relapsed a lot, and in between, I went to treatment twice. I relapsed many, many times. My worst was right around my 21st birthday. I think that was pretty much, apart from when I was 17, that was my worst bout with it. So I think, I didn't go to treatment at that point. I don't really remember what happened. I guess started eating again. My memory is really hazy from around that time. Honestly, memory is not super fantastic to begin with, but that's a whole other story. So I think I looked it up. I went to treatment again around 22. I was again forced into it. That was my ex's idea and his family. I didn't think I needed to go because I was not nearly as bad as the first round, but I went anyways because I was forced into it. And I mean, that treatment center was great. I met one of my best friends there, but I wasn't in it. I mean, I tried when I was there, but I really wasn't ready yet. I was in a horrible, horrible, horrible relationship, and I was using my eating disorder to escape from that. It was just so stupid, but bad time in my life. Was trying to escape through my disorder, and then I kind of escaped through treatment. And then when that wasn't an option, I think I just drank a lot, honestly. I faked recovery again, left treatment early again, also because of insurance issues. So it wasn't completely me ditching. It was also my insurance had changed and they didn't take it anymore. But I was pretty much done at that point anyways. The therapist that I wanted, I wasn't able to see. I think I finally got to see her the last couple sessions. I don't remember. But yeah. So getting on the brighter side of things, I finally left that horrible controlling relationship, which was awesome. It was terrifying because after being in it for so long, it's, how do I function as a normal human being on my own? And who am I as a person anymore? So I was super lost for probably a good year after, just not really knowing, just kind of feeling stagnant, feeling very lost, feeling like I was floating through space. And I had relapsed twice. I did meet my current boyfriend 2 months after that last relationship, and we hit it off really, really great. I was not looking for anything long term. I was very adamant that I was not going to be in a relationship, and then I met him. So that happened. And I really probably, I was 6 to 8 months after math. Probably about 8 months after that last relationship had ended, I finally decided like enough was enough. I was really tired of always being down on myself and always being anxious around food and always thinking about food and just everything and just being disgusted with my body and mentally trash, and like my mental health was at its absolute worst. I was depressed, I was anxious, I was constantly on edge. My chest always hurt because I was just constantly like not able to breathe properly. It was just terrible, and I finally decided like I'm done with this. This is not how I want to live my life. I started getting more into HIIT workouts and lifting weights. Read a ton of recovery books. I had Health at Every Size, Body Respect. I think there was another one that I can't remember, but I read those I think twice each, just trying to really snap my mind out of it, which is really difficult when you have an eating disorder because you logically know that what you're doing isn't good. Logically, I knew that eating as little calories as I did and exercising as much as I did was not healthy for my body, was not good in the long term. Like, I knew all of this stuff. People, I think, have this stigma of people with eating disorders don't know that what they're doing is bad. We know. We're not dumb. Yeah, we can have irrational fears. Like, I used to be terrified of drinking water because I was afraid of water weight. That doesn't make sense. It's stuff like that, but it's logically, we know that all of those things are false. We logically know that this is not good for us. We logically know that also we can't just stop. You can recommit to recovery and I'm so in control of this and I'm never going to binge again and all this kind of stuff. And your brain doesn't give a shit. Like, it doesn't. Because I was diagnosed, I think, with EDNOS to begin with. I went to 2 different treatment facilities. So I was diagnosed with EDNOS subanorexia, which is eating disorder not otherwise specified. So I didn't fit the strict guidelines for anorexia, but I definitely had an eating disorder with anorexic tendencies. And then that acronym got changed to OSFED later on, other specified feeding and eating disorders, subanorexia. So that was what I had, and I dealt with heavy restriction, over-exercise, went through all of that. And so I read these books. I was trying really hard to just really find a new mindset because I still just wanted to be thin. That was my goal. I wanted to be thinner. I wanted to be smaller. I wanted to take up less space, da-da-da-da-da. So I finally got to a point with lifting weights, and I started working with a fitness coach, with First Form. So I started doing that, and I finally shifted my mentality to I need to eat as little as possible and move as much as possible to be as thin as possible, to I need to actually fuel my body properly. I need to move my body in ways that feel good to me. And I really just wanted to be stronger and feel better because I have chronic fatigue, and so I'm always exhausted. And even when I'm like on my shit, I'm tired. So restriction doesn't help that. It makes me more tired because then you're not getting any energy. Your body's just eating itself and I'm always cold already. So you're even more cold all the time. You're exhausted. You're, getting really lightheaded every time you stand up and almost passing out. And it's not a good time. So when it just something clicked for me one day, really. I wish it was more, here's X, Y, and Z. I did go to therapy a few times, and I was in therapy intermittently, obviously with treatment and everything. But what really helped was me seeing people going from either deep in a disorder to strong and body neutral, I would say, or at least body partially positive, to seeing that instead of what I had been, I guess, making myself look at, which was all the thinspo and, all that bad mindset stuff. realistically, I still struggle all the time. I was talking with my friend on the phone yesterday because we were in treatment together, and we both still struggle. I don't think that there is a point where those thoughts are ever going to be completely gone. I guess the biggest tips I can give to anyone struggling right now is really try and limit social media use, especially following accounts that are like thinspo or are promoting an unhealthy way of living. You really want to follow people that promote balance and strength and flexibility and all of that kind of stuff. Some of my favorite accounts to follow on Instagram and Facebook are Sohi Fit, Ben Carpenter, Own It Babe. I'm sure there's others that I just can't think of at the moment. But they're just so mindful of how the things that they post can affect people, especially because they have a big following. And Own It Babe, which is Rainey, she recovered from a horrific eating disorder. And so she posts like, yes, I still struggle. Yes, this is hard, but I'm living the life that I want to live now. I have so much more freedom, and stuff like that just really helps when you're, especially if you doom scroll. Like, if you doom scroll, you might as well scroll good, positive things. So that try and shift your perspective from, or try and shift your mindset from I want to be thinner to I just want to be strong and healthy. Whatever that may mean for you. You want to be your healthiest self for not only yourself, but for everybody around you. I'm also working really hard on my self-esteem and my mental health, because when my mental health starts slipping, I don't want to eat, whether it's because of anxiety or eating disorder thoughts coming in, whatever it may be. I just getting outside for 10 to 15 minutes every day helps a ton. Doing meditation, yoga, journaling, reading, things that kind of help me take my mind off of whatever's stressing me out just helps so much. And I know personally I'll probably never get to a place where I love my body, like body positivity everywhere, but I can at least get to a point where I'm neutral with it, and I'm working towards that now. I used to literally look in the mirror and be like, ugh, like I would be grossed out, and I'm not grossed out anymore, which I don't remember who I told. I think I told my boyfriend, I was like, I looked in the mirror and I didn't think ew, and he was like, oh, like that's good. Like, but it's a long road. Because like I said, I started having thoughts when I was 8, and I am 26. So it takes a long time. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of healing, a lot of intentional work that sucks, but it's all so worth it. But thank you so much for watching. If you watched all of this, I hope it helped somebody. I hope it gave maybe somebody insight onto what disorders are like, because they are not by choice. They are very difficult to get out of, and they suck. It's plain and simple. They really suck. So I hope you guys have an amazing day. Stick around for the next one, and I will see you there. Have a good day. Bye.